Hello and welcome in to the Tater Talks, the podcast where Tater talks gaming, content creation, sports, pop culture, current events, and whatever the hell we want. I'm your host, Taterboy09. For those of you who don't know this side of me, I'm a variety content creator who streams 4 days a week right here on Twitch and posts videos to YouTube, including this podcast and other highlight videos. Tonight's guest is a football extraordinaire as he was born before it was invented. He looks like... He looks at a beer like it's his only true love, and he plays the best bard in a D&D campaign. Please welcome in my guest, Starkey. Sir, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I don't know if I can live up to that intro. That was a lot more than what they should actually expect from me.
Yeah, well, everybody gets a pretty decent one, so that's a good start. No, I remember the whole reason I brought up the beer thing was because it's funny, first of all. But I remember there's this one picture that you had posted somewhere. I don't remember where. But it was you at some sort of beer factory. And I have never seen anybody smile so happy in my life before. Do you remember where that was?
Yeah, it was in Colorado. We went to some breweries. I don't remember which one it was. I know we went to like Fat Tire, Odell. I don't remember where else we went. I'm not sure which one it was, but
yeah, a lot of good ones in there. I know there's a lot of people that go to Chicago or to Colorado specifically for their breweries, so you know.
Yeah, which they have. It's a ton of them, a ton.
Yeah, I didn't know that Fat Tire was out of Colorado though.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Fat Tire is kind of an underrated beer for me though, because it's like it's not something that I would normally think that I would like, but because I'm more of like a light beer person, you know, I drink White Claws and fucking Bud Light seltzers now, so.
Yeah, it's solid, and they have some pretty good stuff. There's actually one of the first places that had a sour beer, which is a completely different experience.
Is that like they have a few breweries in Lincoln where they have those now, don't they?
Oh yeah. I'm sure Zipline probably does.
Yeah. What's that one downtown? Kincaider, I think, is the one that.
Yeah, I'm sure Kincaider does
really
too. They have a lot of beer.
Yeah. Kincaider is actually pretty good. I'm not really big on some of those like craft beer places like that are like, here, let's just make the weirdest thing we can get so we're unique. It's like that doesn't really appeal to me. It's, you know, just like a regular.
Speaking of which,
casual drinker.
Was at a party last week, and some of my friends actually are investing in a brewery in Kearney called Upper Room Brewery. I've only tried one of their beers so far, so we'll see how it goes.
Was it good? Be honest.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay.
It was darker. Wasn't quite a stout, but it was in that realm. It was pretty good though.
Nice.
I'm excited to try more what they have. So
yeah, for sure. There's that the other place that's downtown. It's at the Masonry. What's that big building called? I don't remember. But that one that I've never been to, there's one downtown, or like down underneath of it. That one was weird. I didn't like that one. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah. That's how unforgettable it was. But Kincaider was good. Kincaider, once like everything started going downhill, they're like, hey, start taking our beers home, please, for the love of God, keep us in business. It's like, yeah, had to capitalize on that.
Yeah, you know what goes great with beer though?
What's that?
Football.
Is that what you're gonna say?
Football.
Nice. True. Well, let's shout out people in the chat here real quick. Notorious Afro, welcome in. Yes, he was probably drunk. That's why he doesn't remember which brewery he went to. And yes, everybody goes to Colorado for beer. True. Wink. It do be the thing. What's up, UFO? How's it go? Welcome in. Yes. So that big topic that we're gonna talk about tonight is Big Ten football coming back. It's the prominent, the big push so far with all the sports. I mean, really, as far as June was concerned, July was concerned. Frankly, even in August, we were concerned that we weren't even going to get any football whatsoever. But here we are. The NFL's going strong for the most part. The NFL bubble,
hiccups, honestly,
yeah, for the most part, it really was just only a few hiccups. The NBA bubble was a complete success. The NHL bubble was a complete success. MLB had some pretty rough patches at the beginning, but I think they kind of worked those out as they went, or they just stopped reporting. Who knows?
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah, I have no idea. Or people just stopped paying attention. I don't know. I'm technically a Braves fan, and they dropped a 3 one series, so everything is just pain on Sunday because the Packers suck. So one thing leads to another, and then the Huskers have to play Ohio State this weekend. So
oh yeah, it's a rough week for you, man.
it's not a good one. But let's get to that. So let's take it all the way back and start to when they were sitting here. Hello, Viking. Don't be creepy about it, all right? So let's talk first and foremost about like where they were sitting at the very beginning and kind of assess how well they did at that point, I guess. So we're sitting here in June and there's no plan. Teams are trying to practice, teams are getting tested. July comes around, same thing starts to happen, and no plans are made. It took until August for them to just say, we're shutting it down.
Well, and first, the week before that, they released a schedule.
Right.
And I'm not going to lie, that schedule actually looked pretty good for us. I mean, it was an exciting out-of-conference, which, we had Cincinnati in it. The conference schedule didn't look terrible. It was definitely going to be rough in the middle and towards the end, which obviously we got that part still.
Per usual. What else is new?
Right. Which, I mean, that was the whole reason we came to the Big Ten anyway. So, I mean, that's not a problem.
Right.
But yeah, no, and then they're just canceled, and all that built up excitement just deflated.
Yeah, because basically, now that I kind of remember, they went back and they gave us a schedule of about 10 games. Basically, cut out the fluff games. The whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever random small college games that we play. And Cincinnati they're pretty relevant in all.
Well, I think the one they released might have even just been a 10-game conference schedule. I don't actually remember for sure, but.
Well, no, I do remember Cincinnati being on there though.
Was it still on there? Okay.
I think that was right. Yeah. So basically they're sitting there and then they just pull the plug instantly. And at that point there was really only three states, we'll just say. We won't even say teams, we'll just say states that were fighting to play. And that was Nebraska, Iowa, and Ohio State, I guess I should say. Some of them had, I think like everybody kind of had ulterior motives with that because, obviously everyone was the excuse of, we want to play, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to be a part of it. Football needs to come back. But let's just be honest, Ohio State wanted to only play just because they want to make it to the college football playoff again. And
I mean, rightly so. They have a great team. They definitely have a shot at it, yeah. Especially with how terrible the Big 10 is or Big 12 is this year, and how interesting the SEC has been already so far. So
yeah, but I just thought that was funny because like it kind of fell with. I mean, this is going to sound a little political, but it all kind of fell with how the thought processes with some of the states with those teams are as to how their conference, if their conference was going to play or not.
Yeah,
the SEC, 100%. The ACC, all Southern conferences and stuff like that. Big 12, mostly Southern conferences.
That's Texas and Oklahoma,
right? They were like, "Let's go, brothers! Let's start playing football." And it didn't take until the.
I mean, if you think about it, though, too, like even in the state of Ohio, besides Ohio State, Cincinnati was going to play.
Yeah.
They have two NFL teams in the state playing. Their high school teams were playing. Ohio State was like the only team not playing. Like, What kind of sense does that make? Right. So, and I mean, especially when the Big Ten got mad about Nebraska talking about, well, fuck it, we're going to go play anyway.
Right.
And, they got real mad about that. So
they got so butthurt about that. That was ridiculous.
They really did, yeah.
And then everybody was like, "Oh, we'll get to that." But like, once the actual schedule dropped, they're like, "This is what you get for trying to leave the Big Ten." Like, dude, shut up. Just be quiet.
Well, and like I said earlier, like I don't mind a hard schedule. Like I would rather that anyway. Because I mean, if you look at Ohio State's schedule, they play, like three of the worst teams in the conference. If you look at Minnesota's schedule, it's really similar.
Yeah.
Obviously we have a really tough schedule. I don't remember who else does, but I mean that's really, I don't know. It wasn't divvied up super well, but Ohio State does get a couple of good games. Like obviously they're going to play Penn State, they're going to play us. But I mean they also play like Maryland and Rutgers back to back. So
right, which could be considered two of the weaker teams in the the whole conference.
And they also have Indiana and Illinois on their schedule.
Yeah, a lot a lot of the let's say the lopsided, but I also think it kind of deals down to perspective. So what they ended up doing, which I'm sure everybody's pretty caught up on this, but what they ended up doing was they just were like, okay, let's just have just the conference play. So they brought out a schedule of only 8 games for just the Big Ten conference. So we were not playing anybody outside of the, we're not going to Alabama or SEC or something like that to play a Southern team or anything like that. We're going to remain in our conference, and that 8-game schedule came out. And so what that kind of meant for like perspective wise, right, is that Ohio State is probably projected to go 8-0, maybe 7-1. I mean, it's just I haven't looked directly at the schedule, but if they got some of the weaker teams, but to them a weaker team is basically people who aren't going to make it into the college football playoff.
Yeah, exactly.
But for us, a weak schedule would be like, yo, can we play those shitty teams that we always play and we normally go 3-1 in? I mean, it's game like Northwestern, so we always get Northwestern, like Minnesota. Those used to always be just pooch games. We always used to expect to win those, but
I don't know, dude. Northwestern's always played us really hard. No matter how bad they are or how bad we are, that game always comes down to the wire.
That's true. That's true. There was gosh, man. Northwestern was the Westerkamp catch, though, wasn't it? So, I mean, we got that one. So.
Yes. And I mean, that's the thing. We go back and forth, but for whatever reason, we always that game just always comes down to the wire.
Yeah. Just even with the quote unquote shitty teams of the conference, they still play each other pretty well. It's
all right. So Ohio's schedule is us, Penn State, Rutgers, Maryland, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan State.
So maybe they have trouble with Penn State, and that's it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. and I mean, and we'll see who they play in the Big 12 championship. They're more than likely they're going to get Minnesota or Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So I mean, they really only have 3 games on their resume, which is actually kind of unfortunate. It's a good thing that the Big 12 doesn't have anybody this year, because I mean, in my opinion, the College Football Playoff Committee has set a really bad precedent the last couple of years, sending teams that are obviously not in the top 4.
Yeah, I think that's I always look really bad at the college football playoff from a few years ago when Penn State was really good, when they had Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley was on their team, and they won the. Did they win the Big Ten conference that year?
I don't remember. Probably.
Pretty positive they did. And they didn't make it into the college football playoff because they had to put Alabama in there. And Alabama was a 2-loss SEC school.
That was the year that Alabama wasn't even that good.
Yeah, and they were a 2 potential 3-loss SEC team, and they're like, throw them in there. And they got their ass beat. Can you imagine what would have happened if Penn State would have gone into the college football playoff and given Clemson a run for their money?
Well, yeah, the entire narrative now would be so much different than it is.
Everything would be different, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's even like that.
I mean, so and the thing is, the first year of the playoff, when Ohio State won the championship from the 4th seed, it's a perfect example of why we need a playoff.
Yep.
The problem is that I feel like they have stopped even trying to get competitive 3 and 4 seeds in there. I feel like they legitimately are just trying to get Alabama and Clemson to match up and try to get teams that are kind of close but really not going to beat them.
Yeah.
That's how it's felt the last couple of years. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm biased. I probably am. But it's felt that way.
I think it's fair though, because I mean, sure, there's always 3 teams that definitely deserve to be in the college football playoff. Then there's always the 4th team that's not quite in that top 3 tier, but they still deserve to maybe be somewhere. But then there's also a 5th and 6th who definitely aren't in that tier, but sometimes sneak in.
Yeah, and honestly, I really do think an 8-game playoff is the best thing.
Yeah,
to solve a lot of those issues, but
they always talk about 6 every time that they pick the teams for the college football playoff. It's always 6 teams that they bring up. It's the first 2 out. Who gives a shit about those first 2 out? What if it was a 6 team? Let's just do a 6 team where the top 2 seeds get a bye, just like it would be on one side of the division of a playoff in the NFL.
Absolutely, and I mean, even if they walk it up to 6 and then eventually 8, honestly, I think that would be great for college football.
Yeah,
but honestly, who knows if it'll ever happen. But
I mean, how long did it take for us to get a playoff? So,
Yeah,
and then,
it was a while. And honestly, the BCS didn't actually exist super long. Not that the system that they were using before was much different than the BCS,
yeah,
but
the BCS was stupid. Didn't make any sense to me. It's like, but I guess the way it was before
it
made even
definitely had its
less.
flaws.
Yeah.
It definitely had its flaws.
Yeah, the way that they did it before made even less sense to me because it was like, hey, this is the Fiesta Bowl, but it's actually a national championship. It's like, well, aren't those games separate? Why are they the same? It's like, well, I don't know. Okay, I guess we'll just deal with this.
Yeah, because it rotated between what is it, just 4 or 5 or 6 bowls or something.
Yeah, it was always the big ones, like the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl,
Sugar Bowl,
maybe. I don't remember. It didn't make any sense. That's all I know. Didn't make any sense. And then at least the BCS was like, we're gonna have a set national championship game. I was like, okay, cool. Now it makes sense. But
during the BCS, it was still one of those bowl games, wasn't it? Or was it its own thing?
It was always the BCS national championship game or something like that.
Okay.
And then that's where they had the trophy that was like the
the crystal ball
pillar.
Yeah.
Or is that the one they have now?
No. Now it's like a tube with a football on the top of it. You used to have the crystal ball on top.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that was a cool trophy, We got a few of those sitting at old Memorial Stadium here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Does Iowa have any? I can't remember.
Dude, Iowa's so cute.
I gotta throw my jabs when I can.
Well, they beat the 5-7 team and the 4-8 team, and think they're fucking good. It's cute.
Yeah. It's like the one thing that always there's this one really good clip, and from many years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, from Colin Cowherd. I'm just gonna drop it and say it. He's been pissing me off a lot lately, but him and I have kind of him and I have a relationship as the Cowboys. I love to hate them, and it's kind of one of those awkward. I hate you so much, but I continues to watch you, and I'm man enough to admit that, and that's totally fine. But he had a very good statement from a long time ago. It was they added Middle Tennessee State and some other really bad team to their schedule. And they're and this is when they were always going 11-0 or 11-1 or 12-0 or something like that. It's well, why should I consider you for the national championship or when you're adding teams like this to just go 12-0 or 11-1, something like that? Just how it always happens.
Yep. But anyway, no, and if you guys have ever go to the games, but you haven't been to the trophy room, you really should take some time and go to it sometime. It is pretty cool.
You know what? I've never been to the trophy room either.
You really should. It's pretty cool, and it's actually been redone recently. I got really lucky last year. I got company tickets, so we actually had, not only did we sit over in the rich seats and the red seats,
nice,
but we had the alumni tailgating stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, we walked around a little bit, and I'm never gonna have seats that good again, probably ever. But
yeah,
I definitely recommend going and checking out the trophy room sometime. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a time where I went to a Husker game probably every year for about 15 years, and I never sat anywhere other than the north or the south side of the stadium. So I was always on the very ass end of one end zone. That's one of my goals is to always I want to be on the 50-yard line, 10 rows up. I'll pay shit tons of money for them just to do it once.
Dude, no, and seriously, those red seats, dude, I would absolutely pay a lot of money to go back to there. It's you can see so good from there.
Nice.
And actually, the first year we had that new addition up on the east side.
Yeah.
I sat up there one time. It actually wasn't that bad.
Is that the one that looks straight down?
Yeah, basically. And we were actually clear up in the front of that too, which probably helps. Yeah. But it was pretty cool. We could see really good up there, but it was a long ways away though.
Yeah. I went to a Kansas State Nebraska game in 2012, maybe 2011, something like that. It was when Martinez was there and they were really good and stuff like that. And we were basically set to win. But I also sat up kind of in that area at the Kansas State Stadium, and it was basically where they shoved all the away team fans at.
But
I did actually really like that one. because there were a few times where they were able to, um, I could like see the play develop basically.
Yeah. No, that's my favorite thing about going live is you could actually see what's happening.
Yeah, so I could basically sit there. Nice crack. I could sit there, and I could see the play develop. And there was one play. It was, I think it might have been to Kenny Bell, somebody big, where it was like you could see him like juke the defender and just hit the post, and he was wide open. And Martinez just hit him on a strike, and he was gone. It was great. I don't know, this is one of those things I will never forget.
That's what. So the first Big Ten championship. How much of that game? We actually had pretty good seats for that one too, but only because there was like nobody there. We were actually supposed to be up for quite a ways, but they brought everybody down closer so that it didn't look as empty.
Nice.
But we were in one of the end zones. We were actually right next to Wisconsin fans too. But I remember watching that stupid long run for Martinez that year, and it was cool watching that open up, especially when he actually took a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty cool to watch, but
that was like his 94-yard run, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really
where
stupid.
he ran like 150 yards.
Back when we were still in the game.
Yeah, that was like
yeah.
It was legitimately like a 95-yard run, but he ran back and forth behind the line 3 or 4 times, so it was legitimately like 140 yards he ran that play.
Yeah,
it was the good old days when we used to make it to championship games.
So speaking of Martinez, how you feel about him starting?
About the other Martinez, Adrian.
Yeah, I think the new Martinez.
Yeah, I think you had to have him start. I think that, just for how much time they've invested in him, I think that they had to have him start. So I'm totally for it. I think that he's probably going to be on a. I hope they don't have him on too much of a short leash for Ohio State. But if we get down by like 3 or 4 touchdowns, just pull him. Mm-hmm. See what McCaffrey can do. I mean, that kind of puts McCaffrey in a bad spot. But I don't know if McCaffrey necessarily has the size. And I haven't seen him this year, but at least for like last year when he came in, I didn't feel like he necessarily had a lot of. He didn't look like he was a college Division I quarterback. He looked kind of small, but he was a freshman still.
Yeah, in a red shirt at that.
Right.
Fun fact for you though, McCaffrey had a passer rating last year of 229.
I forgot in college that you can go above the 200. That's a lot.
But granted, he did only throw 12 passes.
Yeah, but 3 of them were touchdowns.
2 of them, he had 2 touchdowns.
Still, it's a lot. And 12.
Yeah, passes. No, absolutely. Which in that one he had on the run, was that the Iowa game? I don't remember. It was towards the end of the
Iowa game. Yeah.
Oh my god, that was an incredible throw. But no, I do agree with your point though. I had absolutely no doubt that he was going to start, and I don't have a problem with it. I just hope that he is at least as good as he was as a freshman, and if not, if he's as bad as he was last year, I have no problem with taking him out and at least giving the other guys a shot. Because I've watched a lot of the press conferences this week,
mm-hmm.
and it sounds like both of those guys are playing at a good level, and they're happy with either one of them playing.
Yeah.
Which is great because hopefully the competition will make Martinez not suck as much, if nothing else.
Right.
But on the other side too, I do really feel like McCaffrey needs to be on the field even if he's not playing quarterback. I would love to see him in the slot sometimes, running back, something. Not a lot because obviously we don't want him to get hurt. But
right.
I don't know. I definitely think, especially losing like Spielman, we need as many athletes as we can on the offensive side of the ball.
Right, just pure athletes. And Wan'Dale Robinson's not going to carry the full load because, you can't just ask somebody to do that. But he is still a great player.
He tried so hard last year.
He really did.
Every position.
He really did. Marno is saying that he is a Hill-like player. I believe you mean Taysom Hill, not Tyreek Hill, right? But by saying Taysom Hill, that means he's going to be a cuck, so... Feels bad, man.
And I mean, honestly, as long as the dude keeps developing, that's great. I mean, Martinez is only a junior, and they're both going to get a free year this year, which is cool.
Oh, true.
Which is actually really going to help us a lot because there's still a lot of places we're really thin depth wise.
Yeah,
quarterback is not one of them, but
are they still rolling with that? Still giving everybody a free year of eligibility?
Last I knew, that was the case, and I might be wrong, but.
I feel like that would be something that they might snip away now that they're well, you played 8 games and a bowl game because we're all going to bowl games now.
Well, but that was kind of the agreement anyway, like before everything. So
I
I don't know.
I hope they do.
Well, with everybody that's sitting out, which obviously I think they would still give those guys a year, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, receivers worrying. That makes sense.
Once
It is
again,
nice we picked
Wandell
up
cannot do everything.
uh, Manning. Is that his name? Manning. The JUCO transfer, big guy. Hopefully, he will have a great year as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty behind on catching up on all that stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
Normally, I don't catch up on who our players are until they're actually starting to play. Like, for example, I
Well,
went to the game where Taylor Martinez started for the first game, and
hey,
we
me too. I
didn't.
was at that game too.
Nice.
Yeah, we didn't actually know until they announced it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were sitting there about 15 minutes before half. Well, it was like 10 minutes before halftime, and my dad heard somebody on the other side say, "Oh, I think Martinez is starting," or something like that. And we're like, "Oh, well, there it is."
Yeah, thank you, Cade Warner. They've said is looking great. Omar Manning, that's his name. Um, so for wide receivers, we have Chris Hickman, Omar Manning, Wandale Robinson, Cade Warner, Xavier Betts, Jamie Nance, who I'd never heard of. So
Yes, Cade Warner, the son of Kurt Warner, is also rocking a really
yes,
good stash. Just saying.
dude, no, yeah, it looks awesome. So I mean, with stash like that, you have to have game to back it up.
For real. Legitimately, I was watching the press conferences, or just like the highlights of the press conferences the other day. I was like, who the hell is this 70-year-old porno star on our team? What's going on here? It's like the 70s weren't good to this guy, were they? Like, oh, wait,
Yeah.
he's 18 and our wide receiver. Awesome.
I mean, it works for Minshew.
True. Does.
Oh
Got it.
yeah, you're right. Western Camp did that too.
Yeah, he did do that. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Man, I don't know. Those are the important things.
Yeah, but I do hope that they do follow suit with the we're gonna give everybody a year of extra eligibility, because that's gonna suck for. I mean, the thing is, like, this whole year is something that, I mean, you can give people eligibility back, but you can't give back their age, you know?
No, absolutely, and and that's a lot of the point that people were making when they wanted to play. Because even though a lot of them do already have tape, uh, look at Joe Burrow. Before last year, Joe Burrow wouldn't have been a first round pick, much less a number one pick.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's an opportunity. Plus, obviously competitors always want to compete. They train all year for it, so. I think Robinson is still mostly going to play wide receiver. I actually think he's going to be the number one slot guy for the most part. I could absolutely see him lining back there sometimes and doing some crazy wrinkles with it. I'm sure he will play all over the place still,
Yeah.
but I think he's mostly going to play running back or wide receiver. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd agree I think that the question was, do you think Wandale Robinson will play running back? And I think that he'll be more of like a same thing, basically. But the thing that, from what I've always heard, at least through most of the offseason, was that they're really all in on Dedrick Mills, the current running back right now. So,
Which is good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure was he a transfer too?
I think he was a transfer, but he's also on the, everybody's on this list when the season starts, but it's always the best running back watch list, or the Doak Walker watch list, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're going to take 50 players and see if they're on all those watch lists to be the best. It's like, oh, okay, well, sure. Well, he's on it, so we'll be happy about that. So I guess somebody's looking at him and thought maybe his fundamentals were good enough to the point where he could potentially be on at least the start of that list, and then maybe improve from there.
And I do feel like this is the first year that we cannot claim having a young team is our problem, because we finally have a lot of guys that had been there for a few years. I mean, they should be stepping up at this point, but
I'd hope so. I haven't heard much about our defense, and we just lost 3 defensive linemen.
We did actually lose. We did lose a lot on defense. I mean, our back seven are still pretty much all returning. It's mostly D line. I think all the linebackers are still there. We might have lost a linebacker.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is not coming back, but the cornerback Lamar Jackson, not the quarterback Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, true, actually. I think that, but the thing with Robinson is I think that he'll be more of a, because he's a deep threat too, isn't he? No?
I think he's more of a slot guy. I mean, he can go deep, but I think Omar Manning is going to be our deep threat. He's going to be the big guy that'll go up and get it, go across the middle and stuff.
Gotcha.
I think Robinson's going to be more the slot guy. A lot of the timing routes, slants, outs, hitches, end arounds, screens, whatever. So
Just put the ball in his hands and let him run.
I think that was legitimately the game plan last year. So
Literally,
it got to where we had nobody left.
Was that the Illinois game last year where he really popped off and came onto the scene? I think that's what it was. He just like came out of nowhere and scored like 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, Percy Harvin player.
Harvin,
That's a good comparison, actually.
So let's talk about Scott Frost then. So Scott Frost got a lot of scrutiny over the course of the offseason as well, mainly for his play calling or lack thereof, maybe some would say, and a little bit of his unwillingness to adapt. Where do we? I mean, I haven't heard him talk too much because a lot of the offseason of this part, was him spearheading the Let's Play initiative, basically, So,
which, by the way, that speech that he gave, big props to that. I think he actually said it all really well. I always like the way he talks. He's actually really good at getting his point across and still sounding passionate and not. Doesn't sound like Bill Belichick,
right?
But he doesn't make a fool of himself either. Like he always seems really genuine and passionate. So I do like it when he talks.
Yeah, he seems like that kind of guy where if he's talking, everybody's like quiet in the room because they want to hear what he has to say. He's a little bit soft spoken, but it's still direct with the way of what he says.
Yeah.
So, but do we think that he'll improve? Do we think what do we think? So we're at year 2.5 for Scott Frost, and we expected things to already be in motion for us to be step in the right direction, and we are not.
And the thing is, last year, obviously Martinez played bad. He got hurt, but we still weren't that far away from having a very different record. I mean, we still took a lot of games that were close. We lost a lot of close games still. And
we also did not have a lot of close games.
That's true. We also lost really big a few times. And, I mean, yeah, that happens still. But I still feel like we're right on the verge of making that switch. And his first year, obviously, we lost so many guys because, they didn't want to buy into the system. That makes sense. Last year, we had a big injury problem. This year, the biggest problem, and I know it sounds like I'm just making excuses, is that we only have 8 games.
Classic Husker fan right here.
I know. We only have 8 games. And I think we will win 4. I hope we can win 5. Worst case, we only win 2. But, I mean, if that's the case, I actually think people will start asking if Frost is the right guy. And I do think he is the right guy. Don't get me wrong. But we got to win some games.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to.
So I think that's what everybody's at. And this year, I think we're starting. I mean, even with the NFL, we're starting to call it a scuff season. So with how many injuries are occurring and stuff like that, things might get bad in college too with stuff like that.
Well, so far in college too, games have just been absolutely nutty, and that could absolutely work out in our favor. I don't see it will. I don't see it helping, but there's a chance that could be the case.
Right.
Usually that kind of shit goes against us, but I don't know. If our offense actually clicks the way it's supposed to, a lot of crazy things could happen. But a lot of that hinges on Martinez, and I don't know for sure if he is the guy. Obviously, he has the ability to be the guy. We'll just see if he actually has the mental toughness and the actual physical ability to be the guy. I think that's going to be a lot of it this year and going forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Because honestly, this year, the difference between 2 wins and 5 wins isn't that big of a difference. Obviously, we're not going to beat Ohio State. We're not going to beat Penn State. We probably won't beat Minnesota, but every other game on the schedule is winnable.
Yeah, we'll get to predictions here in a second. Let me, because I want to go game by game, and I want you to be the. We can split back and forth. It doesn't matter, but one of us will be the extreme pessimist, and one of us will be the extreme optimist, and we'll see which side we pick out. But I did look at the schedule for last year, and we did actually lose to Indiana 31-38. So at least on score, that was pretty close. We lost to Purdue. Indiana, yeah, but and then we lost to Purdue next week, 27-31. So 4 points. We lost to Wisconsin pretty big. Do you remember the Maryland game last year? Did you? There was for some that game will I think will stick forever in my mind because that game was the most unlucky game that Maryland could ever play, and I've never seen our team so lucky before. Like we had balls that were tipped in the air 4 times, and somebody was just standing in the end zone waiting to catch it at the end. It was the most unlucky game I've ever seen anybody play, and
Oh, dude,
we
that
don't
actually
get those like ever.
that actually just brought back like terrible memories. So I don't know if you're old enough to remember. There was one year we were in the Big 12. We were actually having an okay season, and everything just kind of started falling apart. We played Iowa State, and I want to say we had like 7 turnovers.
Oh,
And
it sounds
lost,
familiar.
And we lost like 17-9. Like I like specifically, I want to say it was even Burkhead was like running into the end zone by himself. It was either Burkhead or receiver or something. They were running in the end zone all by themselves and just dropped the ball, and it ended up rolling out of bounds in the end zone for a touchback. Like just the most ridiculous game. So painful. That's legitimately what you just reminded me of, and it hurts. It hurts a lot.
Well, go watch the Maryland game last year because after all my years of watching Husker football, we actually got a good one. We got the dice to roll the other way, so to speak. Okay.
Last year was honestly a lot of a blur for me.
Yeah, it really was. But no, so looking at it again, you are right. We were about 1 or 2 potential scores away, and that was when we lost to Colorado early in the season because our guys just kind of gave up in the second half. So we could have easily been an 8-win team last season.
And we were running wild in the first half against Colorado last year.
Yeah, that was a tough game to watch.
I got super drunk that game.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a game where I didn't get drunk last year, to be honest. Because last year was the Ohio State game was your party. That was fun.
Yeah.
I don't remember that shit. But that game was like we shut the game off at halftime. I'd never done that before.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
We were anticipating because we've lost to Ohio State by a margin of the 40s the last 5 times we played them. So
what are we? I think we're like 1-7 against them, something like that. And that one was the first year we beat them. We came back.
Yeah, that was the Levante David game where he just straight up manhandled that. Speaking of Levante David, real quick, let me just plug this out there. Levante David has been just as good as Luke Kuechly his entire career, and now people are starting to realize that he's good. So,
yeah, he said it's a big plays this year.
He's always made big plays. Well, he's always been.
I know he has, but
he's always been that guy who has done his job. And as a middle linebacker, you don't get a lot of credit for that unless you're like Ray Lewis or Luke Kuechly or what was that?
Brian Urlacher.
Oh, what was that guy's name for the Niners? I fucking hate that guy.
Ken Norton Jr.?
No, Patrick Willis.
Oh, Patrick Willis. Oh, yeah.
Patrick Willis. That guy destroyed the Packers so many times. He was a good player. I hated him because he was a good player.
He was a good player, yeah. Unfortunately, he was on a bad team pretty much his entire career.
Yeah. Well, no, they went to the Super Bowl a few times with him, didn't they? Him and Navarro Bowman were on the same team.
If they did, it was once, and it was the Kaepernick year. So
yeah, it was definitely the Kaepernick years for sure.
Yeah.
But, God, that guy was so good. That's the only reason I didn't like him. Respect the shit out of him as a player, but, God, I just hated him because he was always beating our asses. Ugh. Okay, I'm less upsetting. Okay, let's go game by game for this season, and let's talk truthfully. So, do you want to be the optimistic or you want to be the pessimistic?
You know what? I better be the optimist.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
It's hard to be pessimistic. I know I'm not good at it. I know this is a place I'm always going to be biased, and I will never. Yeah, I don't want to say never. It's hard for me to see it without rose-tinted glasses.
Yes, exactly.
I can recognize when we are bad, but it's still hard to not be optimistic about the future. Yeah, especially since we got Scott Frost, we got a lot of good things in place. Oh, we got a new OC too. I meant to mention that when you were talking about Frost over the summer.
Oh yeah.
And he's gonna be in the booth, which is fine. I actually don't mind OCs in the booth because they can actually see what's going on. So
yeah. See, you're already doing a great job. Good job. Okay, so I will be the complete opposite. I will be the Debbie Downer, and see what records we come out with. So let's talk. Let's go with the first game, Ohio State.
Am I supposed to think like? Am I just supposed to like say if we're gonna win or lose, or go
Yeah.
into the game?
Do you think we're gonna win?
No, this game I do not.
Even as the optimist.
Even as the optimist, I don't. Like, I mean, we might be able to put up a fight. We might look good. If we do, great. I'm legitimately not hoping for much. Honestly, if we beat the spread, I'll be happy. That would actually be a great performance from us.
Spread is 26 at this point.
Yeah, I was just saying last time I saw it was 26. So, but yeah, no, if we keep it within a couple scores, I feel like that's a win, especially if we actually look good doing it. It's hard to look good against Ohio State, but we'll see what happens. So
Ohio State has always had our number. I'm going to say we will not win that game. Even though I know Viking out here, I don't know if Viking's still in the chat, but he's the MVP and he's the GOAT. He's the optimist. He called out a score of 38-34 or 38-31, Huskers winning. So,
wow.
I think it'll be a bit high scoring game regardless. But I think that if I'm speaking completely pessimistically, it'll be only high scoring on our end because we'll be scoring garbage time touchdowns.
And that's honestly also possible. High scoring game is actually good for us. That's actually the only chance that we have. And we're not going to beat them in a defensive struggle. They have a great defense. We do not.
No shot.
But if we get into the 30s, we will have a shot. I don't know if we'll be able to hold them less than 40, but
the over-under is 66.5 right now, so it's high scoring. Honestly,
if we get over that and we beat the spread, I honestly think that will make us look good.
Yeah. I think even pessimistically, we could go for the over on that one because we can. Yeah. We have offensive playmakers.
When our offense clicks, it looks great.
Yeah.
But as you saw last year, when it's not clicking, it's fucking garbage.
Yeah, they ain't much there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in agreement. That's an L. That's fine. Okay, next game would be Wisconsin, but we're playing in Lincoln, and potentially, maybe the most recent direct home measures or whatever they're calling them say that we can't have more than 10,000 people in one spot at a time. With the way that some of the current NFL games are going, I'm sure Ricketts will try and push that in. So potentially with up to 10,000 fans, but there's going to be a lot of cardboard cutout fans there. So are those intimidating enough to get a win over Wisconsin? Your thoughts?
Honestly, I think we can. And I think a lot of it's going to depend on how we look that first week. Especially if Martinez actually comes out and has a great game against Ohio State. If he's able to carry that over, excellent. If we don't look great against Ohio State, it's going to be a lot tougher. I still think Wisconsin is a beatable team. It's definitely a team we could beat. Again, I think we have to score over 30 points. Our defense just isn't good. But as long as we can stop their student body right, student body left run plays, God, I hope we can. Then we have a shot. That is like the worst thing ever, just watching them do fucking sweeps all day, 20 yards a pop.
Fun fact, when a few years ago, 2014, I think it was, me and my dad went up to the Green Bay to watch a Green Bay Packers game versus the Eagles. And that was also the same weekend that Wisconsin was playing the Huskers in Wisconsin. And as we were driving up there, we're like, before the game started, we were going to listen to it on the radio. Before the game started, we're like, if we would have been smart, we would have thought about making this double down. We would go to the Husker-Wisconsin game first, and then we drive right over to Green Bay and spend the night there. And then as we're listening to the game, that was the one where Melvin Gordon
got like fucking 900 yards by himself.
Rushed for nearly 450 yards against us. And it's like, well, maybe it's good we passed on that one.
I mean, you could attest to this. It is just painful when you're watching a team not being able to stop the run.
Yeah.
Because if you can't stop the run, you can't stop anything.
Yeah. And with that being said, I just think that the curse of Wisconsin will stay the same. And unfortunately, we will drop that game.
The only good thing about that is that for whatever reason, we cannot play them in Wisconsin at all. We just don't even show up to those games.
Or Indianapolis, for that matter.
Ever. Well, yeah. That's just as bad, if not worse. But when we play them here, sometimes we at least show up.
Yeah.
It's not every time, but sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little something.
Like I said, if the offense is rolling, I think we have a great shot. Wouldn't surprise me if we lost this game, but I think if we can get a win here, I think our team will actually have a good year. If we don't, it's still going to be up in the air, but I really think this is actually going to be a really pivotal game for us this year, only because we don't have that many games.
Yeah. You bring up a good point.
And
You brought up momentum going into
Yeah.
different weeks, and that's very important. So if we have a decent offensive week going into Ohio State or coming out of Ohio State, maybe we have a shot, but it's going to depend a lot.
Yeah,
of things.
and like I said, I absolutely can see us losing this one. I do feel like to beat them, we do have to score for 30 again. I actually feel like if we don't score for 30 points, we're not going to win any games.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Fair.
But I think we're going to have to score 30, 35 points every game. We're going to have to get it done somehow offensively. Whether it's passing, running. Luckily, we have some weapons. We just gotta do it. So
Got to figure out how to use it. So are you counting that one as a win?
I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say we're 1-1 right now.
Optimistically, we are 1-1. Pessimistically, we are 0-2. Of course, they don't have any lines for these because they're not out, or they're more than 1 week out. So the week after that, we're playing at Northwestern.
I thought we played Penn State early on.
Penn State's week 4.
Oh, okay.
So Northwestern on November the 7th. I'll start in this one. I don't know much about Northwestern this year. I know that they always give us problems, and I hate their head coach, Pat Fitzgerald, because he looks kind of like an asshole. That's all I know about him. With that being said, we'll probably let's just say we're at least. So in the pessimistic world, we just got totally rammed at home by Wisconsin, and we're tired going into the next week. Maybe have some injuries at this point. I'm gonna call this one a loss.
Ooh. Okay. All right. So in my world, we're still 1-1.
Yes, we're thinking happy thoughts now.
But the worst part is that is 100% something that could happen, especially if Wisconsin does just manhandle us. I don't think they will. I think even if we lose, I think that's actually going to be a game. Might not be a super close game, but I think either way, it's not going to be as lopsided as the Ohio State game, unless for some reason we just can't fucking stop the run again.
Yeah.
But again, optimistically, we're 1-1 going into this game. Now, fucking Northwestern, doesn't matter where we play them, when we play them, they always play us close. So I think it's probably going to be a one-score game. I think this is probably the only game on the schedule where we don't have to score 30 points to win, but we're going to.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be like one of those like 31-30, 31-28 games. It's always that way. What was it last year? Like 9-6, something just absolutely
13-10.
Oh my god!
What I saw, yeah.
Like and that was last year when we didn't even have a field goal kicker, and we won that game. It was incredible.
Gosh.
But if we are 1-1 going in this game, we are going to have some momentum, and I think we are actually going to take care of Northwestern. I think that's going to be fine.
Optimistically, I agree with you.
I think they're going to be better than they were last year, but I think we also are going to be better than we were last year. So It's a wash, and I think we actually beat them by 2 scores.
I like it. In a good world, we're 2-1 right now. Let's go, baby. Maro, if you're still here, do you remember what your Ohio State score was? I want to get it for the record. Your Ohio State prediction. I want to get it for the record. Okay, so then after that, we have Penn State. So let's keep it rolling, Mr. 2-1.
No, I think this one's gonna be a loss.
Yeah.
Now I will say it's kind of really gonna depend on where they're at this year.
Yeah.
Because again, they're gonna be a great team. But we only play 8 games, and they play Ohio State week 2. And that's one of those things that, I mean, that's a pseudo Big Ten championship probably.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you lose that game early, there was several years ago, I want to say week 1, Oregon played like Alabama or Auburn or somebody, week 1, and they lost. I'm like, well, fuck, there's our season. And as long as Penn State doesn't feel that way when they lose to Ohio State, I think they're still going to be good. I don't think we're going to beat them, but I think that's one, again, that we can look good. Hopefully we just lose by like a field goal or something. Is that one's at home, or is that at Penn State?
That one's at home. Yep. In
Okay.
Lincoln.
Which, I mean, it's always going to make a big difference. Even if without a crowd, it's still different. I I think we do lose this game, but again, optimistically, we come out of it still looking like we are a team that's on the rise and is looking like an up-and-coming team. That's optimistically where I'm at on this one.
I think it's a good part to make, especially if we keep talking about momentum. So good call. So 2-2 on the optimistic side, and then we're just gonna just to be honest, we're just gonna go 0-4 if we're speaking pessimistically here. I don't know. I don't know much about Penn State's team right now. They could be a total disaster by the time that they get there, but I do feel that we're not where we should be when we're playing the big teams like that. So games like those kind of freak me out. Even the games where we might win still kind of freak me out. So
you're still scarred from the Bo Pelini era, or as long as we weren't playing and somebody was ranked, we were fine.
You might not be wrong. Why do you have to bring up my insecurities? This is my podcast, goddammit.
I still remember the days where we wanted ranked opponents on our schedule.
What are those? I don't know what those are.
Oh, man.
I will admit, though, that I did like Bo Pelini. Regardless of all the negativity he got in regards to, costing us penalties or maybe he couldn't recruit as well. As a coach, or, as him being my coach, we were guaranteed 9-10 wins a season. And that was great. Loved it.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I always liked him too, but...
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. I don't. There's not much to say about the Penn State one. I hope that we can win, but we're 0-4 pessimistically. I just want to point out 45-41 Nebraska wins. You heard it here first. Viking 8-1, 8-3 calls it here like never been seen before.
Dude, if that happens, the entire football world will be turned upside down.
Yeah, literally.
And can you imagine how many blowjobs are going to be given out that night? I'm just saying.
Herb Street might actually blow a gasket if that happens, dude, and I can't wait to see it.
His whole fucking eye might just pop out.
Just having a tick of the eye, and then it just. God.
Just have another fit on air.
Yeah, we always remember that one.
No, and honestly, realistically though, to win, we do have to score that many points.
Yeah,
100%.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, it would be interesting because everyone's always saying right now Justin Fields is the second quarterback taken in the draft next year. What if we just go in and beat the shit out of him? What happens then? Who knows?
Yep.
And then what if they go to Penn State and lose there? Boy, that'd be pretty crazy if they started the season 0-2. Pretty wild. Okay, let's go to the next game. Illinois is who we have at home on November the 21st. I will start first on that one, and boy, I want to be at least some point optimistic, but Lovie Smith has that team rolling, and their defense at the end of last year figured it out. And if we had played them last year towards the end of the season, we would have lost 100%. So
I actually do agree with that.
So I'm saying that we're counting this one a loss. We're starting the season at 0-5. Sadly, Illinois might be ranked by that point, to be honest. But that is...
Dude, seriously, every team on our schedule might end up ranked.
Yeah, really, truly. It's ridiculous. All right, optimistically, what do you think? Think optimistically.
No. Seriously, I do think this will be another win. Again, in my world, we're 2-2, which at this point in the season, an 8-game season, 2-2 for this team is fucking incredible.
Yep.
And I do think we win this one. I think this is another game where we have to score 35 points to win. Honestly.
Yep.
Not that their offense is high flying or anything, but their defense is good, like you were saying. And I do think we just have to be rolling. We have to be doing no huddle. We have to be airing it out. Have to be doing the quick hits. Have to have the run game going. We have to be clicking on all cylinders at this point. If we are, we're 3-1.
Yep.
If we're not, then we're not 3-1.
3-2. But yeah.
Sorry, you're right. 3-2.
Yeah.
See, I'm already just skipping past the Ohio State.
We don't even need that one. Just forget it. But yeah, no. I think that's a fair point. Optimistically speaking, I think you're right because we could probably score. Because they were still the team who they were last year, just they hadn't quite pumped it up to where they needed to be. But that was I'm pretty sure, about 95% sure that was the Wan'Dale Robinson game where he just took over the entire game. So it's also hard to. Maybe they key on him too much, and then we start spreading it out or something like that. I don't know.
And seriously, even if Martinez isn't the quarterback, if for some reason Luke takes over, like whoever is that quarterback, because if Martinez plays lights out, great. I hope that's the case. If he plays like last year, then at this point he can't be the quarterback anymore.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is giving a knock on Martinez saying that you don't want him to play, or you don't like. I don't think there's anybody in Nebraska who's sitting here saying I don't want him to do good or anything like that.
Right.
I think it's still just like, okay, we hit a point. You got your shot now.
And that's the thing too.
Get
like,
somebody else a shot.
This year, like for the fans, he basically doesn't even have a leash. The first sign of weakness, people get the fuck out of there.
Oh yeah,
just give McCaffrey a shot, and it's not 100% fair, but I know for a fact that's exactly how it's going to be. And luckily, Frost is a lot more level-headed than that. I think he's going to have to play pretty bad through the first 4 games to be replaced permanently. I think throughout the season, if he's not playing great, you will see him sharing more snaps with McCaffrey. And then I think this is the point, though, that if he is not playing where he needs to play, McCaffrey will be the guy.
Any list you will see says that Nebraska fans are some of the best fans in college football. Just come to Lincoln. You might be proved wrong. Or at least scroll through Facebook on a Husker Saturday after interception. You might be proved wrong.
Husker fans are passionate, okay? Calm down.
I'm not trying to make us look bad. I'm just trying to state the obvious.
The biggest problem is that I feel like Husker fans, there's more educated Husker fans than there are most fan bases.
True.
It's well, sometimes. Because then there's a lot of people, too, who are just too reactionary. But I understand it. I mean, I get passionate, but people understand what good football is supposed to look like, at least around here. And it's been a while since we've seen it around here. So they're more than anything, people are just hungry for that. Yeah. And they are. And I think most people can feel how close we are to turning that corner. We're not far. There's a lot of good things we're doing. It's just a little shit here and there. If it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not injuries, it's penalties. If it's not penalties, it's interceptions. It's
always something.
It's always something. And we're close enough to the point where we need to turn that corner and just start being a good team again, even if not a great team, a good team.
Right. Just give us something.
Yeah.
Give us something. Okay, let's move on to the next week. Okay, next game is Iowa on Friday, Black Friday. In Iowa. I guess I'll start. And I'll end it real fast. Yeah, we're starting. We're not winning that one in Iowa. Sorry.
Oof.
I don't think. I'm just looking at the rest of the games, and maybe the rest of the games will be better. But in Iowa, there was a stat not too long ago. I think it was after 4 games of playing this series that the home team won every time, but then we blew that out of the water by shitting the bed consistently.
We won the first 3 or 4 matches against them.
Yeah, and they were good games too. I think Pearsonell, there was one game where Pearsonell straight up put the team on his back and carried us all the way. But pessimistically, we don't win this game. Even if Iowa sucks at this point, we're 0-5, dragging ass, trying to get in, and this is hell, worst case scenario.
I think it's funny you say that because obviously last year we've had a losing record, and I still feel like last year we should have won that game, but
we should have, yeah.
Obviously, in my world, we are 4-2.
If you win this game, you are 4-2. Yes.
Okay, so we're 3-2.
Yeah.
So this is the first time in a while they haven't seen us below 500. And I think it's going to show. And I actually think we beat them pretty bad this year. I don't think Iowa's going to be
Let's go, dude. Let's go.
I think it's probably going to be a 2 or 3 score game.
Yeah.
Seriously, it might get ugly for them. And it's about time. Is all I can say about that.
Yeah, it is about time. We're fucking due.
Obviously, at this point, we're 4-2, and we are rolling. And
rolling,
I honestly think we'll put up 40 against Iowa. I think we'll only give up 20 against them. So, and that's 100% true. That might be the game that McCaffrey comes in. But I do think that I think it'll be the Illinois game. If Martinez isn't playing lights out, if he's not looking great, I think there's no reason to keep him in. So we'll see where it's at. That might be a whole nother conversation to have.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't even have to have it, but
right.
I don't think anybody around here is going to be hesitant about pulling that trigger.
Yeah. Say as soon
So
as I've kind of started to mention it before. As soon as Martinez throws that first pick, just scroll through. I mean, I have a lot of Facebook friends, a lot of people here, and the keyboard warriors, stuff like that. They're gonna be calling for it instantly. We go out on our very first drive against Ohio State, throws a pick. Holy shit, the world's gonna explode. Okay, so 0-6 as the worst possible scenario, 4-2 at best. I think that's good. Next, we're playing at Purdue on December the 5th. And pessimistically speaking, we get our first win.
really, that's funny because I was actually going to say I think even optimistically, I think we still lose this game.
I think
it's gonna be a game where we stumble.
If we go and it does have trap game written all over it. I get that, but I have to give us some kind of hope. They have to give themselves some kind of hope, and I think that we're gonna get potentially what we got with Maryland last year, where it literally just everything goes wrong for them, and we're able to capitalize on top of it. So I'm gonna give us a win on this one.
Okay, I actually was going to pick them to lose anyway, or us to lose this one anyway. So it's actually kind of funny. I just think it's interesting that you picked this game and not Iowa, because I actually think Iowa's going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. Really,
we can only hope.
They lost so much is the thing. So we'll see. But no, I think we will actually stumble this game. Even though we have momentum and it's going, everything's looking good, I think we just actually get a little complacent.
Yeah, there's always a trap game.
Well, and legitimately our guys aren't used to winning, so it's going to be weird. It's one of those things you really do have to learn how to do. Our guys have not learned how to do it. So I think we'll actually trip up. And I know it's not very optimistic, but I think this will be the one. So what do we drop down to 4-3 then?
Yep, 4-3. With the final game on December 12th here in Lincoln against Minnesota. It's going to be cold. Might be rainy or snowy at this point in time. But Minnesota has a few NFL-ready players, so
they do. Now the big
we're
thing
ending the season 1-7.
They lost their offensive coordinator.
Oh,
and maybe that's where all their magic came from. I don't know. But I agree. I think we lose this game, and it's unfortunate because this is gonna be the last game. I think it's gonna be a close one. I think it's actually gonna be pretty close. I think we're actually gonna look good again. But I think they are the best team in the West. Now, if we do end up winning this game, we will be 5-3.
Yep, 5-3.
So there's a chance at 5-3 we have a chance at winning the West. I don't think it'll happen again, but especially with Minnesota and Wisconsin's schedule. Minnesota has like the easiest schedule in the country.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I got it all here. They
got us on here.
Well, they start with Michigan, I guess. So.
Yeah, but I mean, really?
I don't know, dude. Michigan always does seem to kind of shit the bed, don't they?
They really do.
Except for when they play Nebraska.
Well, especially against good teams. They just don't play that good.
I think everybody was shocked. Well, at least I was shocked by Minnesota last year. They just completely railed us.
No, absolutely. And they had a great year. And I think this is going to be really big for them. Like, if they can continue that, they might start something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they don't, then they're like, they're just back to being Minnesota.
Right.
So, but yes, I mean, Wisconsin's schedule is Illinois, us, Purdue, Michigan, Northwestern, Minnesota, Indiana, Iowa. Like, that's honestly about as easy as it's going to get from the West.
Yeah.
Because what are the crossover games? Purdue and Michigan? Like,
Michigan is a winnable game week one, especially with starting off with like a new season. And I don't even know who Michigan's quarterback is right now, dude. Does anybody know?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because that Shea guy.
Both Michigan and Michigan State are both just kind of down right now.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because Ohio State and Penn State are really good right now. So
right. It was just like I said, it was just I kind of said at the beginning, we always have these teams where I felt like we would always have a shot at beating them, like Northwestern, Illinois, Iowa, Purdue. I mean, Minnesota we would always beat up on when we first started in this, but then now we're just like, it seems like every team took a step forward except us, and it's really frustrating.
So, like, that's the whole thing. Like, the Mike Riley years really, really hurt our program a lot.
Yeah.
And, bless Frosty's doing his best to get us back to a spot where we're not garbage.
Yeah.
But the guy really hurt us, both recruiting and just culture-wise. And I think Frost finally has the culture pulled around, and it's just going to be a matter of getting guys in and teaching guys to win. I think that's going to be a big thing. So,
yep. And I think that he's got 4 or 5 more years to do it. So they extended his contract. So he's got time. He's got time to do it.
Which is good. I mean, obviously we need to stop with the coaching carousel. That's been a problem.
Yeah.
But
which I think we have.
And I do think long term he is going to be the guy. Hopefully he pulls it around. Like I do think people are going to be more patient with him than most people because people have a lot of respect for Scott Frost.
Yep, 100%.
But no, like I think we'll end up 44. I think best case we do pull it up to 5-3. And honestly, I don't disagree with your 1-7. I can honestly see all of those scenarios happening. It's really going to depend on which team we put on the field this year. It can go a lot of different ways. So
yeah, basically we're talking like full. I was basically cosplaying as Blake right there, trying to be as negative and as pessimistic as I possibly can be to try and come up with those predictions. But I mean, unfortunately, they're kind of like we were going through it and. At one point in time, we were talking about it out loud and like, let's think about this on a realist perspective. And a realist perspective, we only won 2. So I don't know. I really hope we can push back. And this is not me saying, I hope we get to this. This is me saying this is probably what it's going to be. It is what it is. It's nothing we haven't dealt with before.
No, absolutely. And I really do. I can see anything from, 2-6 to 5-3. I can see all of those being possible, and I really think we're going to end up about 4-4 somewhere in there. The big thing is I hope it's one of those things where just the eye test and we look better. I hope we don't have bad quarterback play. I hope we don't have just a team looking like garbage. Like I hope we look like a team that is about to turn the corner. An upcoming team that is going to be dangerous next year. So,
don't you just hate that phrase? The eye test?
Yeah.
I fucking hate that.
Kind of, but it makes sense because you remember Frost's first year, right?
Yes.
How bad we looked until like mid-November where all of a sudden we were playing everybody really good.
Yes, that was the year we almost beat Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly. And we actually looked good in that game. And that's what I mean. Like, even if our losses are like that, that is so different from where we were last year.
Yeah.
And it'll be a lot to look forward to. So
Scott Frost's first game was canceled because of a thunderstorm, and we've been cursed by it ever since.
Yeah, no shit.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Well, that night fucking sucked. I hated that. Did you go to that game?
Did, no, I did not go to that game. I actually don't think I did anything for that game. I think we just had home waiting for it to start.
Yeah. That game sucked, man. This is like they even let him kick off, and they're like, "Okay, let's call it." Like,
yeah, and like that's all it was, the kickoff, right? Just stopped right there.
Like, fine, whatever. I guess we'll stop it. And they're like, "Okay, yeah, move on, Storm. Let's play tonight." Still, hour later, like, nope.
Wasn't it supposed to be like an 11:00 game or something like that? Or was it the 2:00 game?
That was the night game. That was a 6
o'clock. It was the night game. Okay,
that was like a 6:30, 7 o'clock game. But if they would have had it, if they would have, just like looked at the Weather Channel or heard from the National Weather Service, maybe they could have moved it up. And they were like, "Hey, let's play at 11, or let's play at 3, so we can start to get it. Maybe it's done by the time that this thing happens." But
yeah.
Once again, athletics not thinking through. We'll start wrapping it up here as we're getting pretty close to hour 15 here. So it's been fun. First and foremost, I think that it's getting me hyped up to go to watch Husker football again. You know what I mean? I'm always, I'm a big Packers fan, diehard Packers fan, diehard football fan, top to bottom. But Nebraska winning will always be my top priority before any professional teams or any sort of fantasy teams or anything like that. So I'm hyped. I know you're hyped.
Yeah, and it's funny because like a lot of my hype dived off when they canceled the season.
Oh yeah,
but like this week it's finally starting to come back,
mm-hmm.
And it's great to have it to look forward to again. It really does.
Gonna have to play the tunnel walk extra on Saturday. I don't even care who's there or not. I don't even care if we stole that from the Chicago Bulls. I don't give a shit. It's better here. Either. It's better here.
It's about when it started. It was like 95.
Yeah. It was, well, yeah. Okay, so it was probably, I don't remember when the Bulls did. Some Bulls fans going to come in here and start yelling at me. Some Bulls fans going to come in here and start yelling at me. Actually, you both started it first.
I love your internet guy talk.
Shut up. I don't care. Go Big Red. Fuck your Bulls. I said it. All right. Anyway, all right. Let's finish this up here. Any closing thoughts for you for the Big Ten season, the Husker season, the college football season as a whole? Give me your final thoughts on basically everything.
I just hope that I hope everybody gets to play. I hope everybody gets to play all their games. I hope nobody really ends up having to reschedule or miss games or anything like that. Something we didn't talk about was the ninth game that we'll get matched up in. I think that's gonna be interesting too.
For a bowl game?
No. So we have a ninth game, which I guess with the bowl games that actually might get changed. But the way it was initially supposed to happen was they'll pair up teams. So like the same time the Big Ten championship's going on, all the other teams will play paired up with basically whoever their matchup with record wise.
Oh, like from different conferences or from the Big Ten?
From the Big Ten, just the Big Ten. Yeah.
So it'd be so if we were like 7th in the West, who would be 7th in the East? Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah. Basically.
Got it.
Which I don't know if they're still gonna do that, but no, like I hope everybody gets to play. You know, I hope Big Ten finally gets a representative into the playoff again. Obviously, I hope the Huskers have a good year. I hope we look good, even if we don't have a bad year. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
it does. It does.
No, I just hope we're not depressing to watch this year.
Yeah, it was pretty tough a few times last year. But more importantly, hope everybody stays healthy and safe. Whether it's staying away from getting the COVID, or whether they're staying away from taking care of their bodies, making sure that they're not getting hurt, anything like that.
Gotta watch these words like that, dude. YouTube won't let you post.
Oh, fuck YouTube. I'll fight somebody at YouTube. What's Fwizz's number? Give it to me. I'll fight him. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Fwizz. Please make my algorithm better. Yes, go Big Red. And yes, Starkey, Josh says hello in the chat. So make sure.
That was Josh. Okay.
Yeah, make sure you give him a kiss later. Yeah.
I will.
Don't make it weird, dude. Okay. All right, buddy. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you here in Discord or Zencaster so that finish up some closing thoughts here. But thank you for being on the show. Hope you had a good time.
Yeah, I did. Thanks for having me. It was great.
I'm sure it was a lot of real hard conversations. We're sitting here just talking about Husker football for an hour and a half.
Yeah, no big deal.
Perfect. But yeah, appreciate you. If you just want to chill here for a minute while I finish everything up, get it going.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you being on the show. Okay, yes, go Big Red one final time. Saturday is the day. Everybody, start your tunnel walks. Let's get this shit going. Ready to party. All right, we're heading out today for the podcast. I thank you guys for listening. It's a Tater Talks. Today we talk Big Ten football, Nebraska football. We were going to talk some League of Legends World. We didn't quite get there, but oh well, for another time. But yeah, make sure you follow it on the socials. Twitter, we're at Tater Talks Pod. Make sure you follow the YouTube as well. Type in Tater Talks, the podcast. Make sure you follow it or subscribe, whatever it is on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. We're also on Facebook. I think it's Tater Talks the Pod. So make sure you follow us there. And you can follow me personally at TaterBoy09, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. Okay, tonight was a great night. Hope you guys have a good night. And this is TaterBoy09 signing off, reminding you that a minute spent in this chat is a wasted minute. So let's make it a damn good time. And I hope that you had a damn good time today. Thank you.